Okay, so as you can see, the Samsung Galaxy S4 has videos leaked, courtesy of some Chinese manufacturer who apparently doesn't have any fear of international law repercussions about leaking sensitive information about the product. But in any event, the reason why I'm making this video is I just wanted to talk a little bit about the Samsung Galaxy 4, and I also wanted to talk a little bit about Apple and their current predicament. Now, before I say anything about that, I'm just going to let you know that I've done giveaways on my channel before, like for iPods, and I did a Galaxy Note a couple months ago, and I also sold off something else. I think it was an iPad 4G. I basically get this stuff from my suppliers for free, and then what I do is I use my giveaways to help bring business to my suppliers and whatnot, so that, you know, they can help sell their product. But the reason why I'm making this video is because as a Republican and as an American, it's like when I see these products coming out. Now, basically, the Samsung Galaxy S4, thus far, they've only really demonstrated that it has only a few significant changes from the Galaxy S3. Mind you, there's a couple of people in my family who have Galaxy S3s. In fact, one of my uncles bought one for himself, one for his wife, just different color shells and whatnot. And I've used the phone, and personally, I can't stand it. Why is it that I don't like it? Well, let me explain. One of my coworkers, I had her get a Galaxy 2 because originally she wanted to get a tablet. And I said, you know what, you should get the 2 instead, simply because it's got a huge screen, and it automatically has a data plan built inside it, so that this way you can use it as a phone and you can use it as like a phablet. They call it a phone/tablet. And this way you won't have to pay some extra data plan to have a tablet. She bought the phone. She loved it. Since the Galaxy S2, the Galaxy S3's body quality is a decline. Now, I'm looking at these pictures, and this picture, it looks like this new phone, the Galaxy S4, is going to have a metallic exterior shell, or at least a band around the side that's metal. The Galaxy S2 had that. The Galaxy S3 had a plastic backing, and it was really easy to crack, especially if you twisted it and whatnot in your pocket. But from the looks of it, it looks like the S4 is going to go back to the metal quality, or at least maybe it'll have like aluminum, something like what Apple would make. Now, speaking of Apple, some people ask me, oh, well, why don't you have a Galaxy S3? Why don't you have an iPhone 5? Let me tell you why I have an iPhone 5. I have an iPhone 5 instead of Galaxy S3 because I hate Android OS. I personally feel that Android OS works good for tablets like the Asus Transformers that I just got recently. But as a phone operating system, a phone operating system should be easier to use, and it shouldn't suffer from glitches as much as Android does. Now, so far, I'm seeing on this phone, this S4, that it's going to have a new type of Smart Stay. On the Galaxy S3, Smart Stay allowed the phone to track your face by allowing the front camera to check and see whether or not it can detect your face. And if it detected your face, it kept the phone on and active while you were doing whatever you're doing. This new phone, the Galaxy S4, has only a couple of new technologies that I've seen thus far. I'm sure there'll be a couple of other things, but basically it all looks like software programming. The new Smart Stay that they have is called Smart Pause or whatnot. And Smart Pause knows when your face is looking at the screen and when it's not looking at the screen. And as soon as you take your face away from the screen, it pauses itself. Wow, that's fantastic. But guess what? Smart Stay can do the same thing. All they have to do is program it to do that. So most likely what's going to happen is this new phone is going to roll out with these features. They're going to advertise those features. And then everybody's going to rush and try to get rid of the Galaxy 3s, which are basically worthless since all the stores are giving them away. We've got stores around here who are selling Galaxy S3s for a penny, so long as you sign up for the 2-year contract. I mean, a real penny, a cent. And they're giving them away, so that means that those things are going to be worthless, considering the inferior build quality to iPhone 5. I like the iPhone 5's build quality far more than I like the Galaxy S2 and the S3. So I'm hoping the S4 will be better, but until I get it in my hands, we'll just say I'm not going to prejudge it, but the other piece of technology that they have is this floating scanning technology, which allows you to scroll as your hand floats across the camera's range of view. What asshole do you know takes their hand and waves it in front of the fucking camera? That reminds me of Nicolas Cage in the movie Face Off, where he's rubbing his hands on the woman's face and basically making it like, oh, you know what, that's our secret love move that only you'll know me because I'm the only person who's going to rub my hand all over your face. That's like the most silly shit I've ever seen. I have no idea why these are the features that they came up with, because I knew it was going to be a tough act to follow to make a phone after the S3. Because when you really think about it, and if you be perfectly honest, the only reason why the S3 has helped Samsung get ahead of Apple is because Samsung copied everything that Apple did, and then what they did was they went behind Apple and they made shit bigger and they put just one extra feature into it. When the iPad first came out, Samsung knew about the iPad coming out because all of this shit is being manufactured over in Asia. So they all see what's going on at the factories, and as soon as something leaks, everybody knows what they have to do in order to make something better. But the iPad succeeded because everybody wanted that iPad. It had to do with them wanting that Apple product based on the amount of marketing and advertising. Bottom line is, the Galaxy Tab came out. When the Galaxy Tab first came out, I had a Galaxy Tab from one of my suppliers, and I was testing it out and reviewing it and whatnot. It was an old review I wrote. But the Galaxy Tab was basically, it was just a smaller version of the iPad that had two cameras in it, one in the front, one in the back. Now, if Apple hadn't been a bunch of assholes and it had just given you the cameras in the first place, front and back, the Galaxy Tab, nobody would have given it a second look. And the other thing that it had was it had its built-in cellular network, and it took Samsung a little while to get a Galaxy Tab out that didn't have the cellular network so that they could sell it cheaper. The iPad's prices are too high. Right now, the only good iPad, in my opinion, is the iPad Mini 4G. The iPad Mini with the LTE already built into it costs close to $500. I know because I actually went and bought one. Close to $500. And I think it's actually a reasonable price to pay for, considering there's no contract, you're not locked in. But now, the Galaxy 3 and the Galaxy 4, they're going to hype the shit out of these things, but all they're really offering you is a fucking camera software that will probably be found in every other Android camera after the rollout of this phone. They'll put it in every other phone. And then, if you have another phone that has a bigger screen, the same size screen, whatever, you'll have the same thing as the person with the Galaxy S4. Now, you could say that, oh, well, they're going to put more horsepower in it in the CPU, but guess what? When you scroll on the internet, we already have so much power in these phones that as long as you have an LTE connection, you're already getting top quality data speeds. And then on top of that, the web browser, it can't load much faster than it already does. It's like you're never going to get instantaneous pop-up because that's based on how fast data is delivered, and on top of that, that's based on how fast the CPU can render. But when you've got a CPU that's already above 1 point whatever gigahertz, and then you've got LTE, you're going to get high download speeds. So from what I'm seeing thus far, I haven't seen anything new. I mean, they'll want to make it look like it's new, but all it is another trick to get more Americans back online so that they can buy more shit to replace something they just got. Everybody who just got a Galaxy 3, Galaxy 4 will come out. They'll feel that they have to go and buy a Galaxy 4, just like the people who bought an iPhone 5 are going to feel that they're going to have to buy whatever the next iPhone is. Now, I tell you, if Apple pulls that bullshit again and makes an iPhone 5S, I'm not buying it. I'll wait till the 6. I'm not buying a fucking 5S because as far as I'm concerned, as long as you got LTE and you have a decent front and a decent back camera, you don't need much more, because when you go on FaceTime or when you send pictures to people, you're not sending huge files anyway. It's good. These phones are good enough to take pictures on, but they're never going to replace point and shoot cameras because they have like zero optical zoom because they don't have moving parts inside them. So as far as I'm concerned, they don't need to make like the front camera 5 megapixels and the back camera 12. They don't need that because I'm only putting pictures on Facebook and I'm making videos on YouTube. As long as you have 1080p video, which I only upload in 720, as long as you have 1080p video, what more could you possibly need? I mean, nobody's got these 4K televisions. Nobody's got that stuff yet. So basically what they're doing is they're just putting out more stuff, trying to stay ahead of Apple. The Apple's got to turn around. If they're not smart and they don't make a bigger screen phone, then Samsung's going to keep kicking their ass. But bottom line is, I don't really like Android as a mobile system, so I am not jumping carriers. I will stick with iPhone until they make a bigger screen. I want iOS. If I could get iOS on one of these Galaxy phones, oh yeah, then I would jump carriers, but I do not want an Android phone. I have Android on that Asus Transformer tablet. I rarely use it. The only thing I basically, like, I let my girlfriend use it and whatnot, and she just uses it, you know, when she browses on the internet and whatever. I don't use it. I use my iPhone for everything. And the whole whether or not it has flash issue, to me, I haven't really needed flash. I used to have an HP touchpad before I raffled it off. And I actually bought a bunch of HP touchpads, and I was selling them on eBay because when they went on a fire sale, I sold them all off. But I found out, even with Flash in the browser, for the most part, Flash was buggy. It robbed you of battery power because it required so much energy to run those videos in their native format. It was almost like using a laptop. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm sticking with Apple. I'll test a Galaxy S4. My supplier is going to give me a Galaxy S4. I may get one. I may get two. So if you stay tuned to my channel or whatever, it's like when I have a raffle, I'll consider raffling. I'll just raffle one off and, you know, just like I did with my iPad and just like I did with the iPods. Because honestly, I've got an iPhone 5. I don't need any of this extra stuff. You know, it's like they just keep pumping out more and more shit to keep you shopping. And meanwhile, everybody claims they broke. Everybody claims that they're living below the poverty level. Meanwhile, they're spending $500 on a fucking phone. Or they're spending $1,000 on a tablet. It blows my mind. I see people, everybody's claiming they're broke. And walking around with $600 and $700. The kids have $600 and $700 cell phones. I don't understand that. But in any event, Galaxy S4 comes out. I'm definitely going to get one. I'm definitely going to raffle one or more off. So, you know, you could just stay tuned. You can wait for me to make... I'm going to do an unbiased review of the Galaxy S4 once I get it in my hand. I'm not going to just say, oh, yeah, Apple's just better. Because I didn't have a biased review when I did the Asus Transformer. So I'm going to give it a fair shot. I'm going to give it a fair review. I'm not going to be biased. If it blows me away, it blows me away. If it doesn't blow me away, it doesn't blow me away. So I'm going to give it a fair shot. Thing about it is, they better show me some more. They better show me good build quality. I want to be able to feel like I could put the thing in my pocket and not have the sides of the shit cracking. How many of you got Galaxy Notes or have Galaxy S3s and the sides of your screen, like around where the frame meets the glass, how many of you have hairline fractures? Tell me that. How many people have fractures in the plastic case on the back? I need to know that. I had a Galaxy Tab, and I think I raffled one off. I had to replace the back before I raffled it off because the thing started having hairline fractures. When you put big screen phones in your pocket, the twisting motion of your leg and your pants can damage the sides of the phone. And that can happen even if you have a case. Now, you can have one of these big OtterBox cases or whatever. That helps a little bit to protect it. But for the most part, it's like, they're going to have to give me an all-metal frame. They're going to have that Gorilla Glass all-metal frame, and it's going to have a high build quality to impress me, and that's just the outside phone. As far as the software goes, I'm pretty sure I won't have a problem with the software because the newest version of Android that I've downloaded, so far I've been okay with it. It's just that I personally prefer iOS as an operating system. But when I get it, yeah, I'm going to do an unbiased review of it. If you spot bias in the review, you can comment on it or whatever. You can criticize me. I'm going to be unbiased. I'm just going to say what I got. I'm going to say how I feel about it, and that's it. So you just stay tuned and you watch and see what happens. But right now, well, I'm just waiting. I'm waiting to get it in my hands. Let's see what happens.